What's up, folks, and welcome back to the season finale review of The Walking Dead World Beyond. This is episode 10. This is the finale. This is the second episode of the 2-hour finale special, episode 10 in this life. And man, was this a season. Okay, I don't even know where to start. I thought I was going to have to start this review by saying I was wrong about who the asset was. I originally said in my last review that it was Iris. And then ultimately we found out that it was Hope. And I love how they did this and how they spun it around. How the two sisters, the entire season, we focused on the two sisters dynamic and how they always just was one a step of the other in protection and just being there for each other. And it came down to the fact that they are the asset. Together, they work together to solving things, to making each other look better. And I think that's just, I loved how this entire episode made this come full circle from them being infants. And, obviously they were adopted and they said they've always protected each other to now them being young adults. And even with the things they say, how they're able to come up with a plan on the fly and don't even have to make a big thing about it. Like they're just so in sync with each other. It's crazy. And I really, really love that. Like I really, really do. And I got all the chills when Felix found Will. And now we see Will, has a whole group of people with him. He said they got a lot to catch up on, obviously about Campus Colony being burned to shreds and no one knew. Not even Huck, because even Huck was kind of looking like, oh wait, what happened? So, but I think this is a really good way to tie off this season. Obviously, The Walking Dead World Beyond is only slated for 2 seasons, so I thought this was a good, strong first season with really good storytelling, really showing the diversity in the Walking Dead universe, not just being just another show of the other. And although some people like to thought it started off slow, I don't care. I thought it was good the entire time. And this I just, again, I loved how it was just a complete contrast to what we're accustomed to. And up and down the board, you saw differences in this series than compared to the other ones. And ultimately, just focusing on this one, I thought that for 10 episodes, it told good stories. It gave you a lot of backstory on each character. Each character had really distinct personalities, a lot of drama, a lot of things at stake. I thought it was just really, really well done. Not to mention the implications of what this can do for the Walking Dead universe as far as with the Rick Grimes movies and so on. So, I really, really like what they did. But let's get into episode 10 really quick. Now, when it started off the episode and Hope was like, well, who the hell are you? I was thinking about stuff like, you already know. You deciphered the code. Like, you know exactly who she is. But obviously, she was nervous with the gun. She wanted to make the right decision. And at the same time, she did all of this and she left. Even though that she knew that she was a double agent. She did this to protect Iris. And again, that just shows you how synced the sisters are. She knew what it was. She set up the plan. She was going to take matters into her own hand, all to protect her sister. So I thought that was really, really cool. And I think, with her being an asset original, again, this is why I like the writing between the last 2 to 3 episodes, is because it had you couldn't tell who the asset was. It wasn't never definitively said it was a certain person, even though Huck said it was. This episode, we found out that they're together are a team. They're the asset. They've always worked together. So they had a plan ultimately of saving their dad in a way that we didn't even really see, because once it started to come to the idea that they can protect each other and they always was thinking for one another, even though we saw a little bit of conflict with them, they always stick to the plan, which I just think is really, really crazy. We also got to see Silas is alive. Silas is he was living his best loner life, best roadie life, cooking up animals and all that other good stuff. But ultimately, Silas' story has been about redemption, and we've seen him ultimately being the hero again. He pretty much sacrificed himself, not to death, but he took one for the team, and being captured by the CRM in order to let Percy and Elton continue on. So I thought that was really, really well done for his story, because the little boy's been through a lot. We've seen him once being considered a murderer. He was on trial because they thought he was a murderer, to self-defense, to him having these blackout moments, to ultimately just being the hero that Irish knew he was the entire time. So I thought that was really, really cool. But I forgot last episode about the whole room that Huck didn't want them to search, and then they go into it and they find it was supplies and it could have ended up saving Felix, and that's what ultimately made them realize that they cannot trust her. All the things that led back to the fact that they can't trust her because there was just too many loopholes in her story, and ultimately a supply room that could have ultimately saved Felix or just helped this recovery faster was there, and she said it was something else. She tried to lie. So, Huck, her whole story is like she's doing all this for the better good. She came clean about everything, so everyone's in the know about everything. Although she's being played by Elizabeth herself because she doesn't even know everything. So, I still have a little bit of ill will towards her about how this all went down. Her being a double agent and a snake, nonetheless, but I think that next season's really going to be interesting with her and Elizabeth, falling out, because now that Huck realizes that she doesn't know everything and that she's been potentially tricked a little bit, and then actually she tried to save the others by leaving them behind, and now, CRM says, we're going to take care of it, and that's not what she wanted. We'll see how that all plays out. Now, let's go to Leo here. Now, Leo is with Dr. Belshaw, who obviously Leo's been having flashbacks thinking about his daughters, but also thinking about his ex-wife, or, his wife nonetheless. And, when the family was the family before she ultimately was killed. But it's clear he moved on, and this other person is pretty similar to him in a sense. She's very smart. She's considered one of the most brilliant brains as well, but she's lying to him, and he's smart enough to know someone's lying to him. And at the same time, I'm talking about no more lying. She continues to lie. He asked about Dr. Abbott, and, obviously anybody can tell that didn't make sense. Why wouldn't one of the other most brilliant minds be here? Why would y'all just let them go? So he's seeing loopholes in the story as well, too. Much like his daughters, which I think is really cool because the writing is really consistent with them all being a family in the way they think. But I think that what's interesting here is that we're going to see Dr. Belshaw, who's pretty much been on par with the plan with CR. I think maybe her love for him, and obviously when she looked at the picture of the kids and stuff like that, she's sympathetic for them or whatever it may be. I don't think she's going to end up totally being manipulative like she's coming off to be. I think she's at some point going to fold and end up letting him know the truth, which will ultimately save him and his family. Although Huck says that, he's not in no danger at all. They need him. Well, I don't know if that could be trusted, considering that when you looked at the picture of the 4 doctors, well, one of them was already been tested on. So I wouldn't put too much at stake with that. But nonetheless, it took 10 episodes for the kids to learn how to finally fight. We finally seen Hope and Iris get some action and finally lay waste to some of the empties. Finally, after 10 episodes. But I thought it was also really interesting, too, when Huck was talking about all the things she did to pry the team apart, that she was the one that sent the last 2 messages. And then they wasn't generally from the dad, but she was the one that sent them, and, all in motivation to getting and motivating them to leaving Campus Colony. Now, here's the interesting thing about that. If that was her plan to get them to leave, did she have any clue about Campus Colony being destroyed? No. So, it's really clear that she has strings attached to her, and they're playing puppet through her in order to really live out the CRM mission that they have. And I like Leo said, he trusts the government, but he doesn't trust the military. And the military, as we have seen, has definitely been up to no good left and right. But again, she just admitted everything and really laid out the plan for everything that she was involved with, and to her knowledge, everything that she's doing. But obviously, we know there's going to be more than that. But yeah, when they really put into perspective what Hope was, I thought that was really cool. But then when you brought in the aspect of where Iris was we've always had each other back and so on, that little add to it, I just really, 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 really liked that. It just was really, really well done. I thought this was a good season finale to leave the fans wanting more. A good way to leave it for right now. And I also think that it was going to make people go back and rewatch it because of the idea that so many little things, especially like with Huck playing, with CRM's playing, you're going to start seeing like how this all ultimately came together from the beginning to the end. And that, you know, some of these plot elements wasn't just within one episode of like, here you go. Like some of these things were really built within the entire 10 episode season. So I thought it was really well done on that note. Last thing I got to say is the fight scene between Huck and Felix was so good. I thought that was really well shot. I love the fire in the background. There's some classic, there's some classic action cinematography going on there, and I just thought it was really well done. Since we haven't had a lot of action as far as hand-to-hand combat like we see in the other Walking Dead series, I thought this was a good display for this series for it to like show the capabilities of the two of them and what we may get in the future with them. So I thought that was cool. But anyway, this is my review of episode 10. I like this episode. I thought episode 9 was still so great, but together, watching these together as you all can back to back, it just flows together so good, and just so much emotion and chills that went into this episode. Percy and Elton are still tracking the rest of the team down. Silas is captured by the CRM. Will, Felix, and Iris are all together, and now we got Hope and Huck being taken back to the CR to. Well, we'll have to see what happens, and then again you have Dr. Belshaw and Leo. Well, we'll kind of see how that all comes together. We'll see. But anyway, thank you so much for watching my review, folks. I can't wait to get back for season 2 of The Walking Dead World Beyond, and we'll still be covering all things Walking Dead here as Fear continues to go on. Thank you so much for watching this review, folks, and see you all soon.